Umbel is essentially the sort of the Latin name for the namesake of that flower shape. It's essentially an upside-down umbrella. That's fennel, exactly. It's a really beautiful plant in its roots, in its bulb, in its flowers.
And I knew that if I got enough land, I couldn't do it myself. The idea with Umbel roots was to find more land. The place in Sonoma that I had was only three and a half acres. And then this came up, and this is 20 acres.
Through our friendship, seeing that it was definitely something that he was passionate about, farming and growing vegetables, it definitely sort of commanded my attention and said, how can I become a part of this?
I basically laid all the pipe and planned everything out, brought the greenhouse here, got everything kind of established, and then kind of went on the hunt for a partner in the business.
And I've known Tom for 10 years before this, so it made it super easy. Like he was my, sommelier drinking friend.
Well, yeah, so Will and I go back, yeah.
It would be perfect.
You could call us wine drinking buddies. We would call ourselves wine study buddies.
We grow a lot of vegetables in high density planting. There's no tractors here, but everything's done by hand, and that keeps our eyes on the product. It keeps our attention to what's happening with the plants.
I would say that we grow chef-driven market produce. It's number one, hyper-seasonal. It's also things that we have found that are specific to sort of the agricultural zone, both in climate, temperature, seasonality.
For the most part, the restaurants we sell to are Michelin star restaurants. And then really our CSA is where you can find most of our produce. We don't sell to any markets. We don't do farmers markets. Tom and I only have so much time in the day. I want to have the weekend off with my kids and my amazing wife. And so yeah.
The best place to find us, number one, would be by joining our CSA. A service that we offer is home delivery. We also work with a couple local pickup points, sort of hosts of our CSA, that we also have tried to build as a reciprocity with local businesses. So, taking our produce and matching it with, local beef, local pork, local eggs, fish, what have you.
The passion for farming started out with cooking. Earlier in my career, I cooked for a living for about 15 years and owned a couple restaurants up in Portland, Oregon. And so I worked with farmers really only, and that's where the passion came from. Cooking is great, but where it comes from the soil is very important. I'm still working with chefs. I'm still working in the kitchen. And that's why I have, in this sense, in Tom and mine's partnership, something that I bring to the table is really that connection and being able to talk to chefs.
I grew up in a very sort of agriculturally rich area. My family would get our local produce from a farm stand, maybe a quarter-mile up the road, but it was definitely something that I knew then and there I didn't want to be a part of at the time. And so it's been really kind of grounding for me to now naturally sort of come back to all that and see how much of a staple good food and produce is in life. We have both had similar work experience, working in restaurants, doing wine production, winemaking, doing hospitality work, things like that.
Every single crop that we do, we keep notes on. I note what tasted good.
I love that kind of free flow and kind of improv sense of this work, of at any day, the land, the crop, the weather can all kind of dictate what you're doing today.
The challenging part is I guess finding out what grows best here. It just takes a while. I think people are just looking for a local connection. And at the same time, as a farmer, we really appreciate the fact that people are supporting local.
Knowing that we're feeding families, feeding the community, supporting creative chefs, that for me fills my cup.
It's because I'm looking for flavor. Everything I grow, I want great flavor. I want to taste it and be happy and And so that's what brings me joy, is just finding that balance in the soil so I can grow great vegetables.